That's what it sounded like at the Belle Neige ski resort in the Laurentien mountains north of Montreal as work crews helped a helicopter install the resort's new quadruple chairlift. Each bench on the sleek new lift can seat 4 people. Belle Neige is marking a milestone this Saturday. It's the official inauguration of the new lift to be named Le Fenster, to honor the late Saul Fenster and his older brother Henry, 2 Polish Jewish Holocaust survivors who built the ski resort over 60 years ago. Now, while most Jewish immigrants arrived at that time with empty pockets and went into the clothing trade or manufacturing, the world of ski resorts and mountain chalets probably seemed out of their league. But here's how it happened. Saul Fenster was the youngest in the family of 10 kids. Henry was 6 years older. They lost both their parents and 3 siblings in the Holocaust. Remarkably, 7 of them survived. After Saul was liberated in 1945 at the age of 16, he was sent to Switzerland to recover from tuberculosis, and that's where he fell in love with skiing. When he came to Montreal, Saul and his surviving brothers went into the purse-making business. They even made purses for the wives of the Apollo 11 astronauts who first landed on the moon in 1969. But that's a whole other story. Meanwhile, Saul's dream was to build a ski hill for Canadian families. In 1963, he and Henry turned the swampy plot of land in Val Morin that had cost them $53,000 into Belle Neige.
It was just a place where people went to be happy. And it was my father's field of dreams. He envisioned it. He built it. It was a swamp with a forested mountain, and he carved out of that really a field of dreams. That's the best way I could say it.
I'm Ellen Besner, and this is what Jewish Canada sounds like for Wednesday, February the 22nd, 2023. Welcome to the CJN Daily, a podcast of the Canadian Jewish News, sponsored by Metropia and coming to you from Delray Beach, Florida. Belle Neige is one of the smaller ski resorts in the Laurentians, but it always has snow, and even Nancy Green Rain once trained there. Now it has 20 trails, a well-known beginner ski school, and summer movies and mountain bike trails. While none of the senior founders still run the ski hill business, as both Saul and Henry have passed away, the family does keep a small stake in it. It's now operated by a French-Canadian management team, who remember Saul Fenster well, as he was a jovial presence at the hill well into his old age. The general manager, Nicolas Valliere, joins me from Belle Neige, along with Saul's sons Élie Fenster from Montreal and his brother Mark Fenster on the line from Vancouver. I guess we should start with you, Nicolas, because you're the closest to the sort of the technical stuff about dates and construction. So why don't you give us the latest on the actual, project and where it's at?
Yeah, it's a double Meyer chairlift. It's a new quad. We replace the old double for a new quad. We will be able to raise up 2,400 person by hour. So we double up the capacity of lifting at the mountain. It's a project that costs more than 4 million. So it's our project.
Mark, you're clapping and smiling. How are you feeling when you hear that?
I'm amazed. I'm so very grateful to Nicolas, the whole Valliere family, everybody at Belle Neige for doing this. This is such an unbelievably beautiful honor. Can't wait to get there.
I'd like to bring the brothers in. How did this all happen? How did it even start?
I honestly don't know how it all happened. I just know that when I found out that the new chair would be named after my father, and I actually think we found out only a few days after my father passed away. So all I know is I suppose it was a little bit overwhelming because Belle Neige is such a big part of our family. It's I guess the best way to put it is that I've lived in a lot of homes in my life, and for those people lucky enough to go back to their home that they grew up in, their childhood home, and go into every corner, every room, and just be flooded with memories, and to bring you back to your earlier days, Belle Neige is very much like that for my family. Every run, every corner, every tree is filled with memories for us. So it really is our home. And obviously, when we lost our father, it was a difficult time. and to be so quickly to receive such an honor from the ski hill, from the administration was really beyond words. It was really beautiful, and it's an emotional thing for us. It really is, and I'm just so appreciative. It means a great deal. It's very symbolic, and in the ways that my father always brought so much happiness to the hill. And Belle Neige, I mean, I've skied in a lot of places in my life. I don't think I've ever seen a ski hill as happy a place as Belle Neige is. Even though it's my home, it feels like it's everybody's home. And I don't know. It means a lot to us. It means a lot to me.
Mark, do you want to jump in?
I just remember being completely, Nicolas told me on a trip that we made to Montreal and went up to Belle Neige to visit. And when he mentioned it, I was just blown away. It's such a wonderful honor. This is just more, I mean, my dad and my uncle came to Canada after the war and fell in love with skiing when they were in Davos, Switzerland, after they were released from camps. And they made a dream come true, and to see that dream not only be there for my dad and our family, but the many families that it's touched, and so warmly. And now for everyone, for the new owners of Belle Neige to be doing this is it's just wonderful. It's really wonderful.
The thing is, Nicolas, you never met the Fenster brothers, did you not? You came along later, right?
No. I've been working for Saul a few years. I'm working at the station since 15 years now. So he was an owner when I was there for the first years, and we could meet the family and see the spirit of the place. And
what was your first job when you started working there? Now you're the director general, but when you met them?
I was the director of the restauration and the bars. So I was doing the food and managing the kitchen.
Good job.
But I have to say, Nicolas was a genius, a master chef at soups. And my father used to talk all day long about, every ski run he would do. He would always count the minutes till it was what he would call zoop time, because he couldn't pronounce it properly. And he would just rush in, and, he just loved Nicolas' soup. So I had to say that.
Now we're talking about your parents and the whole post-war legacy. When the Jewish survivors of the Holocaust came to Canada, there was most of them went into the clothing business, factories. Not everybody would understand that a Jewish brothers founded a major ski hill in Canada, and it wasn't a friendly place in Canada to start in that business. It's kind of very unusual. So what made them decide they could actually do this? They even went themselves into a different business, did they not, when they came?
Yeah, after when they were brought out of Buchenwald, liberated from Buchenwald by the Americans, they were brought to Davos, Switzerland, where my dad was brought to a
sanatorium.
A sanatorium, thank you, where he was cured of tuberculosis. Both Saul and Henry they worked at a leather goods company, at a leather handbag manufacturing company, and they learned that skill. And in Davos, it's one of the best places in the world to ski, and they learned to ski. They fell in love with skiing. So they once they were done in Switzerland, they were able to. They came over to Montreal. They found a little business called Mastercraft Leather Goods, which they bought for $1,100. The Mastercraft Leather Goods at the time was making watch straps and pen sheaths and pen holders and knife sheaths, that sort of thing. And they turned it into the largest Canadian manufacturer of handbags. Very successful. And with that success, they fulfilled a dream, which was they took a drive to the Montreal Laurentians, or the Quebec Laurentians, saw this little hill and said, yeah, we'll take that one. And they got some investment together and managed to open up this little ski resort the little ski resort that could. So,
biggest little hill on earth.
Was it already in operation at the time, or
No.
they started from like a bare hill?
They started with a bare hill, a natural hill. They went to all the through all the process of designing it, doing whatever they needed to do, the landscaping, putting up the at the time it was just a double T-bar, and just it grew from there. And yeah, as Ailey said, it was like every weekend we were there. Every weekend. That was our home away from home.
So I see that, Mark, you're wearing, our audience can't see, but Mark is wearing a ski patrol sweater on the Zoom. And so this is in your blood, but then you made it into your hobbies and your life, your passion as well, right?
Skiing has always been a big part of my life. My dad put me on skis when I was 2.5, and skiing every weekend throughout my life. And then moving out to Vancouver, some beautiful mountains out here. And I heard about a possibility of joining the Canadian Ski Patrol, and I remember just loving them at Belle Neige. Just such great people, and I went ahead and did the training, and now I'm in my 4th year patrolling for the Ski Patrol, and it's amazing.
All right, now I have to ask, guys, your mother's still alive.
Yes.
What does this mean to her?
A lot. How could I put it into words? She's so excited. She had a fall recently where she hasn't been able to walk for a couple of months, and all she keeps wanting to do is go up to Belle Neige, visit the mountain. And now that the ceremony for the new chairlift is coming up, she talks about it so often. It's amazing. It's an amazing thing.
I grew up in Montreal, and we always went up north every Sunday. I used to teach skiing at Mont Gabriel. But to be honest, Belle Neige was considered the easy baby hill, right? No offense, compared to like Mont Tremblant, or right? No?
Nope.
I don't want to insult. You're going to hang up on me. But
No, there's some black diamond runs.
Yeah, there's no insult there. Belle Neige is what, I think 550 vertical feet. There are bigger mountains, but the truth is I've skied in a lot of, especially in the Laurentians, and when it comes to the way Belle Neige is, from facing to the south, it's located in a valley which cuts down on the winds, and the shape of the runs themselves. And it really is an amazing hill that, yes, it's true. It's probably one of the greatest hills to learn skiing on. But once you learn to ski, there's a lot of runs that you could kind of cut your teeth on. And the Olympic skier that Dad used to be friends with, and she skied at Belle Neige. Nancy Green, thank you. There's a run even named after her at Belle Neige, and she skied at Belle Neige. And we used to have the Shell Cup for many years, which was a very advanced competition. And it really is. It's not the tallest mountain in the world, but it really is the best mountain in the world. And even if you're an expert skier, there's a lot to satisfy you there. That's for sure.
Did they encounter anti-Semitism at all to try to do this?
They never spoke about that. We found the community to be very welcoming, and it was quite a diverse crowd. Of course, a lot of French Canadians, a lot of English Canadians, people from, it was a time where there was a lot of movement around the world. So whoever came to ski, it was really about family. It was about family and community.
Still today, it's the same thing. We have Chinese group, we have all kind of people who are coming to ski at Belle Neige, and they are loving the mountain. They are bringing back their child, their grandchild. It's the dynamic at the station.
You know what? Obviously, anti-Semitism existed in Canada, after the war and so on. I know my father experienced more anti-Semitism in Switzerland when he was trying to work initially, because wherever he would work, they would forbid him to live. Wherever he would live, they would forbid him to work, and they kept switching back and forth. So I know he had a lot of difficulties in that. But in the end, he learned his craft with leather. He taught himself business, went to school at night, and in between all of that, taught himself to ski and advanced. So I think when he came to Canada, and at least the way I was growing up, there was always a big Jewish community at Belle Neige because of the founders being Jewish, I suppose. And more than that, the French community and the local community was always extremely, extremely close. So I imagine through skiing, it was all a close-knit family, my family as well as the family of the ski hill. And I think that exists today. That's one of the things I truly love about Belle Neige is when they say it's a family hill, it's because it applies to every member in the family, from the youngest to the most inexperienced skier to the oldest and the most advanced.
Okay, why did they call it Belle Neige and not Fensterville or something?
Beautiful snow. Exactly, because that's what it was.
Like Ellie told earliest, the position of the mountain they are at the bottom of a valley, and it give a special meteo at the mountain. So even if it's raining 5 minutes ago at Saint Adèle, it's gonna snow at Belle Neige. So the station wears well the name.
They used to call it, I don't know when they stopped, but it was always La Station Ensoleillée. So the sunny station.
Ensoleillée.
We used to joke, and especially being a pilot, when my father used to try to explain to me how the sun is eating its way through the clouds, I would try to explain to him it's not really how it works. And yet 99% of the time when I go to Belle Neige to ski, it could be the worst weather in the world, and somehow the sun will always manage to creep out. And it astounds me. I don't get it, meteorologically speaking, but my father was right. It really is.
So how is one last thing, because of like climate change and whatever, you were mentioning that you always have sun, but in the last few years, we've had trouble with the weather, and the ski hills are worried about not having snow and warming climate. How is that impacting what's happening at Belle Neige in the last few years?
We didn't see much difference for real. We took action for the next years. We had improved our snowmaking system, but really we are almost finishing the snowmaking at the same time every year. So even if it's colder or warmer, we will always have not steady weather. So even if we are able to do some snow earlier in the falls, like October or November, we will have a warm period after. So every year we are stopping around the same date. So for the moment we didn't see much impact, but we did some action to be ready for the future, just to be able to make the snow and open the mountain maybe a few weeks earlier and finish few weeks later.
All right. Is there anything you want our listeners to understand before we say goodbye that we haven't talked about?
To build La Station Ensoleillée and have it be successful all those years, that took a lot of work, and there were a lot of people. I watched the team, I watched my dad, my uncle, other people work together. And then since that time, over the last bunch of years, Nicolas and his team, the amount of work that they're putting in to keep this not only going but growing, with some wonderful ideas like a cinepark in the summer, and some other things that they're doing, the bike trails. It's really brilliant, Nicolas. I'm so impressed, so proud, so happy to see that the dream keeps growing and more people are getting to enjoy it. And you look great, and I can't wait to see you on the hill.
Boy, last word. I love the symbolism in them honoring my father, naming a chairlift after him. In a lot of ways, my father was always recognized not for his successes in business, but for the person that he was, the way he made people feel, the generosity. It was always, when you skied with my father at Belle Neige, the public address system was always calling him into the office because somebody was showing up and asking for a ticket. And, it made my father the happiest guy in the world to do it. And, for me, selfishly speaking, the true legacy that my father left me is that, like last weekend, I was skiing with my son and we're going down the hill. It was a beautiful day. And, I just stopped for a second and kind of took a snapshot of my mind. And that's the true legacy that my father left me, is to be able to do that with my son. And it's really such a beautiful place, and it's a beautiful thing to do. And I'm so thankful to be able to share that with my family and the extended family at Belle Neige. It means the world to me.
The organizers at Belle Neige couldn't have known it when they picked the date for the ceremony, but Saturday night is also the first anniversary of Saul Fenster's death a year ago this week, according to the Jewish calendar. So the ceremony will mean even more to his family. And that's what Jewish Canada sounds like for this episode of the CJN Daily, sponsored by Metropia. Integrity, community, quality, and customer care. Today's listener shout-out goes to John Glicksman. He suggested that people should stop donating to the U of T Medical School over the anti-Semitism reported by the faculty. If you ever skied at Belle Neige or you knew the Fensters, why not write to me with your memories? I'm at ebessner@thecjn.ca. And we'll end with a little audio of Saul Fenster. Here he is talking to the Steven Spielberg Shoah Foundation back in the 1990s about building Belle Neige.
Yes, we also have a ski resort that we developed in 1961, opened the beginning of 1962. It's still in existence. The name is Belle Neige. It is 1 hour out of Montreal. And in fact, it is the only ski hill that still has the original owners. Every other ski hill, of which there are 18, every one of them either changed hands many times or went bankrupt a number of times.
What are your hobbies?
Skiing and tennis. And reading, naturally. I still have a great thirst for knowledge.